Hundreds of San Diegans are rallying today as part of a nationwide effort to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Protesters are calling on Army Corps representatives to cancel the permits for the pipeline. CBS News 8's Gene King is live at the Army Corps of Engineers office locally, where a rally is underway. Gene.
Dan and Nichelle, it just started. This is one of 300 rallies happening all across the nation. This one here on Arrow Drive, you see hundreds of protesters with their signs, and they are protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline. They are gathered here, including people from Native American nations as well as many nurses. As you take a look at the video, a little bit of history. A Dallas-based company building the $3.8 billion Dakota Access Pipeline is asking for federal court approval to lay pipe under a Missouri River reservoir in North Dakota. The 1,200-mile pipeline from North Dakota to Illinois is mostly done. It could carry 500,000 barrels of crude oil every day. Now, recently, protests have spread across the nation. Locally, they're supported today by members of the Kumeyaay Nation, California Nurses Association, and Climate Change Action Group San Diego 350. The protests are happening at the Army Corps of Engineers office at the 8700 block of Arrow Drive. You hear a lot of people honking as they're driving by right now. The Corps of Engineers is now looking for more input from the Standing Rock Sioux tribe before it decides whether to allow the pipeline to cross. Now, the tribe says it would harm drinking water and sacred Native American cultural sites.
We're here to demand from the Army Corps that they respect Indigenous peoples' rights and their treaties, and that they put a permanent halt on the permits for the pipeline.
Supporters of the pipeline say that it would create more markets and reduce truck and oil train traffic as a plus. Now, members of the Native American nations will be speaking today. We're going to hear from more of them coming up in half an hour. And as of right now, they also say they're trying to get the attention of President Barack Obama and his administration with these national protests before he finishes his presidency. Back to you.
Opponents of the North Dakota Access Pipeline are going after the project's developers. Protesters gathered today outside San Diego's Army Corps of Engineers, asking the organization to stop construction that could damage native lands. Members of the Kumeyaay Nation recited a prayer in solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. Thousands have joined demonstrations against the pipeline nationwide. They say it would contaminate drinking water and ruin sacred grounds. Supporters argue it would create jobs and boost the economy.
The Army Corps of Engineers has decided to delay the controversial Dakota Pipeline project. The move will now allow some more time for discussion with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. That tribe relied on a lake in North Dakota for its water, and the pipeline, as it's currently planned, would go right under that lake. The project has spurred social media protests and rallies across the country, including one today in San Diego. And Fox 5's Felicia Martinez was there. Felicia.
Well, Andrew, well over 100 protesters were outside the office of the Army Corps of Engineering today, calling on them to stop the Dakota Pipeline.
You can't drink oil! Keep it in the soil!
From shouting chants to honking and music, protesters gathered outside the Army Corps of Engineering in Serra Mesa Tuesday, rallying against the Dakota Access Pipeline.
We all drink water. The Missouri is providing up to 18 million people with drinking water.
Currently, the Dakota Access Line developer needs permission to cross under the Missouri River. The project has sparked protesters to stand in solidarity with the Native American water protectors in Standing Rock, concerned over destroyed sacred Native American sites and the environment.
Those nations have a right to input into projects that are going to impact their sacred sites and their burial grounds, as well as their water supply.
This access does not protect life. Water protects life, and this is important for all of our families and our generations to come to stop this.
If the pipeline is completed, it would carry 470,000 barrels of crude oil a day from North Dakota to Illinois. Proponents say the project could be an economic boost for the region and potentially change the landscape of the U.S. crude oil supply.
This is not just an issue for Standing Rock. This is an issue for all Americans that we should all be concerned with.
put a call into the Army Corps of Engineering today, but have not heard back. For now, I'm live in Serra Mesa. Felicia Martinez, Fox 5 News.
Over 200 protests are taking place all across the country today over the controversial Dakota Access Pipeline. And one of those protests right here in San Diego, over 500 San Diegans rallied outside of the Army Corps office this morning. The demonstrators stand in solidarity with Native American leaders who feel sacred land, drinking water, and the climate are at severe risk if that oil pipeline is built.
For me, there's no other side. We're all in this together. So I'm totally over trying to be on different sides and think about it in those terms.
It's definitely something that we need to start looking at, especially with the new president-elect. It's like we need to start looking at climate change seriously and doing our own thing and doing our part.
It's being called the Day of Action. This is the largest protest against the pipeline since the government halted the project in September. The Army Corps initially fast-tracked that project, which, if constructed, would carry crude oil across 4 states. Now they're taking a step back to hold further discussion and analysis with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. Meanwhile, United Nations has denounced the inhumane treatment of pipeline protesters in North Dakota. Security forces have been called out for their use of violence against the peaceful demonstrators. Rubber bullets, tear gas, mace, compression grenades, and beanbag rounds have all been used against the mostly Native American group that's seen out there. UN officials acknowledge some protesters have also resorted to violence, but they say the security response is disproportionate.
Hundreds here in San Diego join a nationwide protest against the construction of the Dakota Access oil pipeline. They rallied outside the Army Corps of Engineers office in Murphy Canyon this morning. Many demonstrators are with Native American groups. They say the pipeline, which runs 1,200 miles from North Dakota to Illinois, desecrates sacred burial grounds and poses a threat to local water supplies.
I think that everyone should care because everyone drinks water. And I think that, you know, if we want our future generations to have access to clean drinking water, we need to take a stand now.
Proponents of the pipeline say it will reduce the number of oil shipments made by trucks and trains.
The Army Corps of Engineers decided to delay the controversial Dakota Access Pipeline project. The move will now allow more time for discussion with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. That tribe relied on a lake in North Dakota for its water, and the pipeline, as it's planned, would go right under the lake. The project has spurred social media protests and rallies all across the nation for months, including one today in San Diego, which is where we find Fox 5's Felicia Martinez. Felicia.
Well over 100 protesters gathered outside the Army Corps of Engineering office today, calling on them to stop the Dakota pipeline.
You can't drink oil! Keep it in the soil!
From shouting chants to honking and music, protesters gathered outside the Army Corps of Engineering in Serra Mesa Tuesday, rallying against the Dakota Access Pipeline.
We all drink water. The Missouri is providing up to 18 million people with drinking water.
Currently, the Dakota Access Line developer needs permission to cross under the Missouri River. The project has sparked protesters to stand in solidarity with the Native American water protectors in Standing Rock, concerned over destroyed sacred Native American sites and the environment.
Those nations have a right to input into projects that are going to impact their sacred sites and their burial grounds, as well as their water supply.
From Native nations, environmental groups, and nurses, a diverse crowd gathered to make their voices heard.
We are here to protect the people's, their health and the environment, and we need clean waters.
The government should take care of its citizens, not a private company. And we have to move forward to green energy.
If the pipeline is completed, it would carry 470,000 barrels of crude oil a day from North Dakota to Illinois. Proponents say the project could be an economic boost for the region and potentially change the landscape of the U.S. crude oil supply.
This is not just an issue for Standing Rock. This is an issue for all Americans that we should all be concerned with.
We did reach out to the Army Corps of Engineering for comment today, but have not heard back. Jen, back to you.
Protesters gathered outside the Army Corps of Engineers office in San Diego to protest the Dakota Access Pipeline. It was one of several protests staged throughout the country. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh has the story.
Several hundred people gathered along Arrow Drive to ask the Army Corps of Engineers to stop the pipeline, which would stretch through tribal lands in North Dakota. Gina Tiger Meduino is part of the Lakota tribe but lives in San Diego.
I want them to start respecting our land and our treaties, and I want them to put a permanent halt on the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Meduino was in North Dakota in September. She says the pipeline puts their drinking water at risk. The rally was organized by San Diego 350. They converged on the complex that houses the San Diego offices of the Army Corps of Engineers. Monday, the Corps announced that the project would not go forward without consulting with the tribe.
We have to be solid. Solidarity. That means all of us.
Protesters collected postcards to call for the Obama administration to end the project outright. Similar protests were scheduled throughout the country. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Solidarity rally was held in support of the demonstrators in North Dakota who are protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline. Hundreds of San Diegans, including local Native American tribes, rallied outside the Army Corps of Engineers offices earlier today. The rally is in support of the Native American water protectors on the Standing Rock Indian Reservation to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, if built, the pipeline would cut across the tribe's sacred and historical land.
As you can see, we're out here at the Army Corps building. Today is the National Day of Action, so there's over 300 actions going on all across the country. There's people that are gathering that are saying, no to corporate greed. We need to stop this oil pipeline for our future generations.
The Army Corps of Engineers released a statement that announced construction on the pipeline will be halted until a final decision will be made by the Army Corps to grant an easement for the pipeline to be built.